So there has been another fatal shooting of a black man by the hands of the police. This time it was in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. That's a suburb right outside of Minneapolis. I want to pull up a statement by a Minnesota police chief that really is bothering me, and I just have a number of problems with it. So basically what the Brooklyn Center police chief, Tim Gannon, described the shooting as was an accidental discharge. It happened as the police were trying to arrest this man named Daunte Wright, who had an outstanding warrant. So there was actually body cam footage that was released after the fatal shooting of Daunte Wright at this traffic stop by the hands of the police. So what was basically shown in the body cam footage was a female police officer saying, "I'll tase you, I'll tase you, taser, taser, taser." The officer is heard shouting on her body cam footage released at a news conference. She draws her weapon after the man breaks free from police outside his car and gets back behind the wheel. After firing a single shot from her handgun, the car speeds away and the officer is heard saying, "Holy shit, I shot him." So the man, Daunte Wright, was 20 years old and he died. And this is all at a traffic stop. So basically what the police chief had said was that he believes that the officer that killed Wright wanted to use a taser but mistakenly drew a service weapon before fatally shooting him. I call bullshit on that, and after seeing so many countless lives lost at the hands of the police, you guys have lost the benefit of the doubt. How do you just manage to accidentally draw your gun instead of your taser? If you're unable to determine the difference between holding a gun and a taser, you shouldn't be on the streets in the first place because you have too much power, you're there to protect and serve, and you should be able to tell the difference between a gun and a taser. I want to pull up a tweet by this very popular political commentator I follow, Bo of the Fifth Column. He brought up a pretty interesting tweet that really makes me raise even more questions about what the police chief had to say about this officer. So basically Bo said, "I don't know who needs to hear this, but nobody confuses the feel of a taser and a sidearm. It's also standard now for the taser to be holstered cross-draw." And then I looked at the images too on Google, and from what I've seen, the gun and the taser are in very different parts of the belts that the police officers use. So how do you just mistakenly draw out your gun instead of your taser? That's just another bullshit piece of crap that's coming out of the police. They always like to defend each other instead of holding each other accountable. That's one of the largest reasons why we see so many bad apples. There's just way too many bad apples for it to just be a few bad apples. Like there's another example. Taser, and the gun is at the side. So another man just died, all for what? And even if the man got into his car after you guys told him to get out because he had outstanding warrants, that's not a reason to shoot somebody. Honestly, this all could have been avoided if you had just let the man get away. There was no justification to shoot a man. You had no even proof that he had a weapon on him, nothing like that. And this might seem controversial to some of the racists out there, but you should have just let the man get away if he really got into his car. And honestly, I can sympathize with the fact that he got back into his car. Probably felt very fearful for his life because that's one of the things that you have to be aware of as a black man. You're going to be more on edge. You're going to be more cautious. You're going to be more, aware of making certain movements because the cops are very trigger happy with black folks. It's true, there's many racists in the police force. And add to the fact that they're very poorly trained a lot of the times, police officers. I mean, it's very easy to become a police officer as compared to other professions. So right now we're seeing even protests happening in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. And already there's been clashes with the police. People have been hit with rubber bullets, tear gas, the usual thing. And if there are riots that break out, it's honestly, I can't blame people anymore because the way that you guys stop all this rioting and all these protests is that you actually do something about the police because they have a lot of power. They have the license to kill, so they need to be held to a higher standard than other citizens. You're there to serve and protect. You're not there to just act like some thug. Because that's how a lot of them act. And I know it's premature and people are going to be like, oh, well, we don't know if this is racially motivated. Technically, yes. We don't know if this police officer in question is a racist. All we know about her is that she's a senior officer. But then again, if she's a senior officer, then you would think that she would be a little bit more relaxed, especially when it's just with a young man, right? And it's also important to note that after he was shot by the cops, he got back into his car. His girlfriend actually was in the car with him as well too, right? He drove off, then he crashed shortly later. He died on the scene. And fortunately though, his girlfriend's injuries are just not life-threatening, but a young man was killed for nothing. He didn't have to be killed. They need to start implementing police reform across the country. I don't want to hear anything about rioting or anything. No, stop focusing on the few bad apples that are using this as a time to loot a store or to burn something. How about you instead focus on the real issue at hand, which is that police use brute force disproportionately with certain people in America and also in Canada too. So we need to have civilian oversight panels, more transparency on how the budget is used, especially in America, demilitarization of the police. So unless you're talking about how we can improve this and lessen these incidences of police brutality by a lot, I don't want to hear anything about rioting or anything, because people like that are acting in bad faith. They don't care about the fact that black people are being assaulted and gunned down by the police disproportionately. So don't talk to me about any riots or anything if you're not going to talk about solutions. So I'm really sorry that this young man lost his life. Another sobering moment for many black people in North America. Something needs to be done about it. I'm so tired of saying I'm tired of this. I just want something to finally be done across everywhere in North America, every state, every province in Canada. There needs to be major police reform. And someone, the cops or the cop that killed this man, she needs to be fired, and there should be criminal charges brought. It's not enough just to be fired when you behave in a grossly negligent way. There has to be criminal charges done. Enough is enough. Otherwise, you're going to continue to see these protests and riots. And who is that going to benefit? We're just going to see more mayhem unless the government actually does something and cracks down on these very poorly trained police officers and weeds them out. So I send my thoughts and prayers to his family. And I know that's cliche to say that, but man, I'm just so pissed off. So tired of seeing these stories. But that's all I have right now about the killing of Daunte Wright in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. All right, take care.